Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Shola Shoyeli. My guest, Adetunji Adedoyin Adeniyi, has acquired wide experience in legal practice areas like debt recovery and insolvency, asset and property management, commercial and banking transactions, company secretariat, and other related matters. Adetunji is an award-winning litigator who also has extensive experience in the legal aspects of both local and foreign investments. He was the lead counsel in the Emerging Global Solutions case, where Justice Oluwatoyin Oyekun Abdullahi of the Lagos High Court agreed with his submissions and gave judgment against the Ajetumobu couple who fled with over 18.8 billion of investors' funds in what has now become known as a failed Ponzi scheme. Now, you'll agree with me that a lot of people are falling victims of Ponzi scheme, and those who haven't probably know someone who has. It is that common. So I began my conversation with Adetunji on what a Ponzi scheme really is and how people can detect one.
I think before you could have just mentioned that Ponzi scheme is some form of business arrangement or investment where people just put in money without due diligence and things go wrong. But I think in this modern day, Ponzi scheme has gone beyond that. Now you will even see companies more or less that are even publicly quoted. Big companies with everything appears to be going well. And all of a sudden you realize that you're falling like Ponzi scheme. And for me, how you get to know that this is a Ponzi scheme is if the investment is not more or less in most cases in compliance with CBN regulations. CBN regulations mandate that if you are taking loans or investment, at least there will be some form of collateral. But when you want to know that this is Ponzi scheme, is that these guys come promise you heaven on earth, and the next thing they disappear into thin air. And how do you know? No properties, nothing to trace. Even you find out that even the business, the buildings doesn't even belong to them. So these are major characteristics of Ponzi scheme. So for us to detect their documentation, how long they've been in business, who can vouch for them, is there a third party?
So these are checks that people should carry out before they put their money in a place. Because these are things that, well, if they just come to you and sell the scheme to you, most people do not bother about these details. It just looks good on the face of it. Somebody has told them that they know about it and they put their money there.
I totally agree with what you said, but what I would just say is that people need to investigate more. There is a recent case we did in our firm, and these guys, all due diligence was carried out. Everything was perfectly done. But lo and behold, this guy disappeared into thin air. On getting to his office, the guy has orchestrated his moves. By the time we were able to get court orders, got his statements of account, realized that it's like everything got orchestrated from get-go. And to tell you, this one of them we just did recently. This guy has been in business for almost 4 years, and people have been investing, he's been paying, and for me, I think when you give your money to people or persons or entities and they use it and they will promise you they will pay you 5, 10, whatever percentage, I think we should just double check.
Okay, so what about companies that are legally registered for investments but are subsequently discovered to be operating Ponzi schemes?
Even though a company is registered as an investment company, at least there must be some form of fallback on capital, like either through CBN or through the Tribunal Investment Security Tribunal can look into it, and everything should check out.
So now that you've talked about court, let's talk about courts, because a lot of people say that the courts have not really been helpful in dealing with cases of Ponzi schemes. I have heard thousands of stories of people who are falling victims, but they seemingly don't get justice. It's like those who fleece them of those funds go scot-free. Now, I'm asking this question because I know that you were the lead counsel in the Ajetumobi case, the couple who allegedly took off with about 18.8 billion of depositors' funds, and you got some form of justice for your clients. But this is not the case with a lot of other people who are falling victims. So are the courts really helpful when it comes to issues like this?
To be honest, the courts have been helpful, but like I said, the court can do more. But the main issue is with the people investing. The courts are not, the judges, they are not magicians. They depend and they give judgment based on evidence. I'm glad you made mention of the Emerging Global Ajetumobi's case. I can tell you that all our clients, they have documents. They have, at least, we are not saying you should have the investment letter or investment contract, the funds you invested. In fact, I've had few people come to me for, oh, please help us to recover this. How did you give the money? How can you give 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million in cash?
And there's no proper documentation.
There's no proper documentation. That means even your own funds are questionable. On the other part, when you talk about the courts, I think the courts, to be honest, I was on a lighter note. I was before a judge, and where everybody wants their case to be attended to urgently. And I'm not really holding brief for them, but at times they are belabored. You see a judge handling over 1,000 cases. 1,000. Not just the courts. I think the government has a lot to do. Look at it. For AMCON, we now have more or less like designated AMCON judges. One, they try these issues. Two, 99.9% of AMCON cases, they start with ex parte orders freezing all the assets, and the BVN, the account linked, the BVN linked to such accounts. So for me, if the courts, and I won't say maybe even NJs, because most of these judges, it's not that they don't want to grant ex parte orders. But like now, the reason why federal court judges grant ex parte orders for AMCON is because the act provides for it. That's why a lot of banks went down, because you will see people owing them humongous debt, and they are still fighting them with the money you are supposed to use, and these are depositors' funds. So when things like this are taken care of, we've received several calls, and to worsen, to say we have represented part of the Ajetumobi. There is a foreigner, a young dude. His funds should be, it shouldn't be more than up to 40. He works here like expatriate. He invested so much money. In fact, I think he invested a good sum of money.
So he fell victim too.
He fell victim. What do we want such persons to say? But the good news is the Lagos State High Court did fantastic. In fact, it's one of the fastest recovery cases we've done. Honorable Justice Oyeko Abdullahi, we got the Mareva order to the extent that she even gave worldwide Mareva order. And to be honest, one or two companies in UK honored it. Some companies honored it, though some of these other countries say we do not have such treaty for them to honor it. But the most important thing is that the message is out there.
This is also one question that I got a lot of, that I got from a lot of people. The way Ponzi schemes usually work is that one person has benefited, and then they're introducing it to other people, their friends and colleagues, and come and put your money here. So this question, can people who are privy to the enhancement of a Ponzi scheme be sued in place of the fraudsters, where those people are the ones on whose statements you relied on to invest in the Ponzi scheme? Are there remedies against such people who aided you or encouraged you to invest in a Ponzi scheme?
Thank you for that question. It's a very beautiful question. I've had one or two, not even plenty, people approached me or clients in that issue. It's two ways. It depends on your extent of involvement. For example, if Mr. A approaches me, that, oh, come and invest in this, and I said, okay, I will invest. And they bring the company materials to me. You saw the company, you did everything, you did your due diligence, and you paid into the company. And the company paid you, and you were enjoying your funds. You signed that, oh, this, and you came back. There is no how the person that introduced you will be held liable. But guess what? That's my opinion. I'm not the judge, but that's my view, but which I know. But if Mr. A approaches me, oh, come and invest this, the sum is about 500 million, you invest, and I say, okay, Mr. A, no problem. Said, this is the company, this, and Mr. A said, pay into my account. And Mr. A receives that money into account.
On behalf of the fraudulent.
On behalf of the fraudulent. There is no how Mr. A will not be treated as part of it. As an accessory. Because if you were the one that collected the money, so every month the money is going back and forth. There are only very few exceptional circumstances that maybe there are communications, there are correspondence to show that you were the one that said, oh, no, I would rather pay the money to you. He said, no, why don't you want to invest in it? So, no, I would rather pay the money to you. And you saw every communication, how the money went in, the money came out. And let's assume the Ponzi finally surfaces like it normally does. And you run through the accounts. She says, this is how I paid him. This is how the money came. Maybe some courts or judges or persons can be sympathetic. But as far as money did not go, funds didn't go through you, I don't personally, because everybody markets everyone. So I wouldn't say because you marketed something to me, you should be liable for it. But if you partook, you benefited part of the funds, money came to you, then obviously you can be part of it.
Finally, what more do you think that the judiciary and even the government, what more do you think they can do to reduce this menace of Ponzi schemes? I mean, it's so commonplace. This was where we started from. If people who haven't been victims know someone who has been victims, I mean, it's that common. So what more can our government and our judiciary do?
Honestly, I don't know. But firstly, once it's discovered that these one or two persons are Ponzi, I think I won't blame the government, but I would say it can be aided and it can be better. Why would I say that? Number one, such persons should be declared wanted fast. So, because some of these Ponzi scheme people, they dupe these people, they still go, because nobody, and the procedure or the process of declaring such persons wanted, I think they are too bureaucratic. They take long. And before you know, these people have disappeared. Number two, I feel the government and the judiciary, the government can allow bills to be passed that ex parte orders to freeze all their accounts can be gotten. So most of these judges will not be too timid. I won't call it, but not to grant the ex parte order. So they won't be petitioned. They can say, I granted it. Thirdly, the BVN of such persons should be treated. And I feel there should be a general portal that nobody should seek investment if they are not being regulated. It might be that CBN, NDIC, or a new body might join such persons. And also, there should be dedicated judges. Sorry to digress. There was a time we had one or two matters. We were before the judge. And at times, you'll find out that some of these judges, they don't even know what this whole investment thing. Maybe the issues involved. Maybe the judge has been a specialist in properties or in matrimonial causes or but when you are discussing, they will say, so it's not their fault. So for me, I feel judges, judges are always been like they rotate. Yeah. So even if you are going to rotate the judges, they should be in the same field. So we know that, anytime I have this judge is a specialist.
So the judges should enjoy better training or more training in such areas.
Yes, they should enjoy more training. The law should support them. And I'm sorry, I feel more judges need to be appointed.